Dear friends, Alexis here. It is quite cloudy and rainy and windy here today, and I wanted to talk about a little bit what it feels like, when you allow, in some of the experiences, when you allow time and space to flow through you. So when I've allowed, and I keep allowing, and this year it is very, very important to keep allowing, to keep exploring this of time and space flowing through you, and you being that consciousness, that awareness through which the time and space and your energy flows through, and the experiences. So perhaps even as you watch this video, you can perhaps imagine that this pathway is flowing through you and my voice is flowing through you. It only becomes activated, the sound, when it hits. That's not perhaps the right word, but when it comes into your awareness. And it also is the energy, that communication. So initially, before you even come into that space, you go through a lot of clearing, and you go through a lot of integration of your major aspects of wounds and things, because when you become aware of the energy flowing through you, you normally are in that place already when you can allow yourself to be vulnerable and intimate with yourself, because this is what it actually you become. You become really okay, accepting, intimate and vulnerable with yourself, with your own energy, with your own perceptions, with your own things, with who you are. And who you are, it's really so different than what your image was of who you were when you were operating from the mind only. So it is really important to just be okay with however you start perceiving yourself, because you do realize so many different things about yourself, and we each are quite weird in the sense of, if we were trying to explain how we perceive, how we feel ourselves, as we truly are, this immense, huge being, the creator, the eternal one, all of that, you are, each one of us is. And when you start to becoming aware of that, firstly, the soul self also regulates this flow, so to speak, and it doesn't overwhelm you, even though some of the experiences, because you go 100%, and some of the experiences are very full on, some of the integrations painful and hard for the body. It's so much so that, some people do develop all sorts of disease. They go into like panic attacks and all sorts of things on the way to this place where you can really start to trust yourself, where you've opened yourself enough, when you've experienced enough, so that you do trust in yourself, of yourself. And all of those experiences that you have in a way help you to do that, help bring you into that space where you can then allow conscious opening up, so that you can start initially perhaps just from time to time, for short moments of time, to really allow that flow to flow unimpeded, without blockages through you. And that's quite an amazing achievement, really, from being that fearful, a distrusting human mind self, to now being so trusting, so accepting of yourself. Because, as in the mass consciousness, in the world of the mind, one of the biggest things is the rejection of self. And you can tell that even just by looking at what people are doing with all these incredible, suffering they put themselves through, including all these unnecessary plastic surgeries and all of that, just to be accepted mainly by themselves, because they're so critical, so rejecting of themselves, even when to another person they look perfectly beautiful. And so all of these things are very distorted when you are operating from the mind. So, as I mentioned, you go through huge process that can last a decade before you come to this place where you can really start allowing fully your energy to flow through you and your energy to serve you. Because when you open those gates, you see, then you don't filter anymore who you are. Then you don't filter anymore the dark and the light and the shadow and all of these things. And when you're first really allowing the flow and this perception to change so that the time space does flow through you, there is still a lot of cleansing to be done, because a lot of things are still stuck there. But after that initial phase, even those huge kind of unintegrated parts that may still be lurking over there in the shadow, so to speak, they come into you very gently. It is very sweet and gentle how they integrate. There isn't those huge shocks and huge dramatic integrations of the past anymore. And your world starts to change. Rather, your perception of how things work start to change. Of course, you become even more of an outsider in so many ways, in all of the ways, from the people that are living their so-called normal lives. But by this time you've mastered, these abilities, the art of allowing, the art of being who you are, the art of being okay with being alone, with thinking differently, with feeling, perceiving things differently, with being on your own, in your own sovereign space, while, let's say, walking among, thousands of people at times. So there is this, we could talk about all of these things that we've had to sort of learn, master along the way to come to this place where we can start allowing this flow. And for me personally, and I'm sure for many of you as well, being in nature helps to open up, helps to experiment with all these things, helps to learn how to trust that when you do allow yourself to flow in this way, when you allow your energies to flow through you unimpeded, that you won't anymore encounter those parts, those unintegrated parts that used to hurt you, that used to abuse you, that used to be a victim, that used to play the victim role, that used to trip you, that used to undermine you, that used to criticize you. You see, all of those were parts of your own self. Even though we projected them out onto the world, all of those lived within you. And so once you make that choice and you start allowing this perception to shift, anything that is needed will come up, and you will be able to deal with it as it comes up. And sometimes it is uncomfortable. For some people, it can make them feel a little bit nauseous. They can be a bit sick. All of these kind of weird things do happen. It depends on the person. It depends on how you are, you with you. But at the same time, while we talk about all of those more challenging parts, the rewards are incredible, because you really start perceiving yourself as creator. You start perceiving yourself how you can influence. And again, that may not perhaps be the right word, but how you can actually choose, that's a better word, what and how you want to experience, and how you want to what you want to create. But you do create with bigger feelings, rather with your soul value fulfillments. Like, you don't have to worry about the nitty-gritty things, the details. You just make those kind of choices of what value fulfillment, let's say, you want to experience, and then that will unfold by itself without you having to worry, without you having to control, without you having to fret or anything like that. You see, and it is such an ease and grace and flow with yourself with your energy that it is quite incredible, and it is a continual discovery of how this works. Because you see, we've not really done this before. So it's not like you can read many books about it. People that are experiencing, that are allowing, are starting to, put out material. But as you know, everyone has their own way of perceiving, their own way of experiencing things, their own preferences. So everyone is a little bit unique, but we do all help each other on the way. And so I would encourage you to truly start allowing in this way, to step into this, or rather to open yourself up to your own energy in this way. For what an amazing experience it continues to be. Until next time, from Alexis, see ya!